So far. I think it's important to throw that in the title, but yeah. Right now, some wrestlers have found their best run in NXT or the like, but let's not forget a lot of that does come down to the machine. That chooses what to do with you. It is worth looking at, though, to see what we need to get some of that love back. So yeah, here's 10 wrestlers who right now smashed it essentially at the first go. Number 10, Cameron Grimes. I start with the now Trevor Lee for a very specific reason. What the flub was he meant to do? As Cameron Grimes in NXT, he was perfect. He could go in the ring, he could be funny, had a character that could be ridiculous if you wanted. Cameron was the $1 million champion, let's not forget. That means something. It's why during the 2023 draft he got called up to SmackDown, because he had done all he could in NXT. It was time to set him free on the main roster. Problem is, we did the exact opposite, or nothing, and I mean that literally. He did get an early win over Baron Corbin, but then he vanished from TV, was asked to help Gable Stevens improve on house shows when April rolled around, and he was released. It was totally nuts. I've still no reason as to why this happened, because at least give the guy a go, but we didn't. Goes to show how fast things can change. Before all of this, he was one of the reasons to watch NXT. There's no way the straight to the moon gimmick wouldn't have translated either. We just needed to give the guy a chance. He did not. Number 9, the Vaudevillains. What really gets me today is the Vaudevillains would be given such a good go of it on the main roster. It would have been wonderful. The proof is all there in NXT 2 because Simon Gotch and Aiden English were one of the funnest tag teams in a long old while. Go back and watch that presentation. The old school black and white motif is the best. I would say happening in 2014 meant it came a little bit early, although Vince McMahon did not help. Not only did he not understand it, it struck twice when Rusev Day took off that English was involved with. Talk about making two huge errors. In terms of the villains, the decision to cast them as heels when they came to SmackDown was also ridiculous. Firstly, fans were excited to see this sort of act promoted from NXT, and 2, who wants to boo a couple of ye old wrestlers who were being super creative? This one still irks me a little bit. It could have and should have been so good. Number 8, DIY. So things are slowly getting better as the song goes. It's another reason I wanted to include Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano here. You just never know. Down in NXT though, DIY were amazing. Their feuds with the Revival and American Alpha are worth anybody's time, and among some of the best tag team wrestling WWE has ever showcased. They had fans eating out of the palm of their hands. Obviously in developmental it led to the split between the two, which was equally as good, and when they finally got to the main roster, after a while they were joined together again. Made sense. The worry, however, was that for a good old while they didn't do much of anything. They basically disappeared from TV, and then the fear arrived. Not Gargano and Ciampa in the Triple H era, man. That would be nuts. Turns out this was the case as fast forward to July 2024 and they won the World Tag Team titles and defended them a week later in great fights with A-Town Down Under. Now I am kind of worried they won't hold the belts for too long, and you'll know that already by the time you listen to this, but it is exactly what hope looks like. Even if you do get lost in the system for a little while, there is always a good story waiting just around the corner. Let's hope that they continue to shine. Johnny and Tommaso are up there with the best of the modern era. Number 7, the Ascension. And this is a team that went the other way. You do have to go back and watch the Ascension in NXT to understand it, but man, they were so awesome. A throwback to the likes of the Road Warriors or Demolition, Connor and Victor walked into the PC in 2013, and they destroyed everyone. It was great. They were so smash and grab, we all thought Vince McMahon would love them because, yeah, he had seen this sort of team during the 80s when wrestling was flying. Why not just do it again? Well, it's because in 2014, he decided they were more of a parody, so literally booked them as a comedy act. Even JBL on commentary would laugh at them. Talk about never getting a chance. By 2015, they just lost constantly, which underlined how much this had switched. It really comes down to the fact McMahon has never been a fan of tag team wrestling, but still, all that work just to go, ha ha, like being Nelson Muntz. 6, Andrade. So we do need to see what's going to happen here. It's just been so strange. The main way to sum it up is that here we are in 2024, and people are still seeing Andrade as a future breakout star. I'm just going to say it. He should have broken out by now. Mr. Tranquilo is another guy who got murked by Vince McMahon, who just didn't watch him in NXT, and he got so bad that eventually he left WWE and headed to AEW. His treatment there was far better, but I think the desire to work the same place as partner Charlotte Flair brought him back to WWE. And since then, well, it's more of the same. Andrade did feature in that great Money in the Bank match, but he hasn't had a notable feud. didn't do all that much since reappearing at the Royal Rumble. Feels like forever ago that he was side by side with Zelina Vega, so let's be honest here, her main roster run has been way better. Andrade is so talented, I think by 2025 he will be rocking and rolling. But what a long-winded way to get there. There's probably a story behind this. One day, it will all spill out into the open. Number 5, Malakai Black, or another Vince McMahon mismanaged. For Aleister Black in NXT was awesome. He had an aura to him which led the man to the NXT title, and he was having bangers all over the place. It felt like a can't miss on the main roster, which should have really prepared us. Because it was just another dude that McMahon didn't get, hence why he added a coffin creak to his entrance music. That's not only not understanding the gimmick, but it's basically treating Black like he was some sort of cartoon. We then locked him in a dark room and never let him leave, which was not the best plan, when from nowhere he got released. This was extra mad because he had finally started to get proper feuds. His AEW run has been open to much discussion too, but let's not forget how good he is. I've no idea what is next for him, but he remains an enigma. There is few in the sport of pro wrestling like Malakai/Aleister Black. Number 4, Keith Lee. So I do want to talk carefully about one Keith Lee. He has been through such horrendous health issues the last few years. Who cares about wrestling? Just hope that he's doing better. The truth of the matter, though, is underneath the WWE banner, he was used way better in NXT than he ever was on Raw. He was the first ever World and North American champion, for goodness sake. That doesn't just happen. He was a two-beller. Lee was also one-of-a-kind wrestler, as he could do it all, which apparently Vince McMahon didn't get. Here was this big dude, so why don't we call him Bearcat? I'm not kidding, that's what we decided to do. It was wild. Now, Keith actually won more matches than we remember, including getting a victory over Randy Orton, but it always felt like taking one step forward to take 2 back. It's like when you make somebody WWE champion, but they don't main event the show. A very specific message is being sent out there. His AEW run started off well too, until the never-ending feud with Swerve Strickland, but again, I think it was his health that got in the way, so I just want to send my best to the man. Who cares how he got used, really? Keith Lee still made it to the top because he's awesome. Now let's just hope he can return soon and start enjoying himself again. There is nothing more important than that. Number 3, Adam Cole. I mean, the main roster wanted to use him as Keith Lee's manager, so the rumor goes. Remember that the next time you ponder why Adam Cole decided to go to AEW. Even the thought of that is so damn disrespectful. All you need to do is pick any Cole match from his NXT run as proof, because good grief, this guy was the best. Even his promos don't get enough love. That time he just verbally assaulted Karrion Kross. The dude was a constant treat. His time as NXT champion needs to be studied too, and let's not forget we had glimpses of what this could have been on SmackDown. When the Saudi Arabia main roster travel nightmare happened, we got Adam versus Daniel Bryan. Man, it was so good and Cole won. Ooh, delally. It's no surprise he went on to main event All In 2023 in front of AEW's biggest ever audience. It's just a shame he's been riddled with injuries since. It couldn't have been more unlucky. The recent word has been that he'll be good to return soon, so fingers crossed. Any roster is better with Adam Cole, and I do believe that is actually a fact. Number 2, Karrion Kross. So when it comes to Karrion Kross, I am hoping he is going to be the next DIY. He's got all of the tools, we just need to find the story that allows him to go off. The Final Testament are a good group too, they're just mostly sort of under the radar at the moment, but that's okay. You don't need to rush it, there is no need. This is especially true with Kross because let's not forget, he has been hard done by once before on the main roster. His first call-up saw him lose to Jeff Hardy, be forced to wear a stupid helmet, and then he got fired. I mean, that ain't great. Thankfully, Triple H believed in this dude, and now we are back again, but yeah, it's a be patient situation, because we don't want to drop the ball again. I'm not sure why we don't just turn the clock back to what we did in NXT, because the footage is right there. Kross was just the coolest and stood out almost as a sports entertainment character in a very heavy wrestling set world. That was fine though, it clicked and that's all that matters. So I shall once again keep everything crossed he does get his due. Karrion is made for a solid WWE run. We just need to find the right spot. Number 1, Shayna Baszler. If you do watch my Ups and Downs series, I talk about this all the time. We do not do right by Shayna Baszler. Her best use has always been in NXT because there we lent on her strengths, or the fact she had a killer background, so let's book her as a killer. Nobody feels as legit as Baszler because of her history in combat sports, and we sort of got that when she debuted on the main roster against Becky Lynch. Even though then it got a bit hokey pokey, she bit the man's ear. like she was some kind of vampire. We got more hints of this when she had that SummerSlam match with Ronda Rousey, but apparently the powers that be stuck their oar in too much with that one, so it's just another hurdle. Given the recent change in management, I really hope someone finally allows Shayna to be the warrior she can be, even if it is just for one title run. Could do the world of good for the whole division if she does feel like a proper threat. Plus, whoever beats her will get that old mega rub. So again, the template is right there looking at us. Just redo what we did in NXT. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming to my TED Talk. Know of any other WWE superstars that may be peaked in developmental? Let us know in the comments below. Before you like the video, share the video, and why not subscribe? You can also click the video on the screen while I shall run you down 10 more trivia facts about pro wrestling. But otherwise, my pals, take care, and I will speak to you again very soon.